Hello everybody. In today's video I will show you one of a few lines that I have ongoing with Galaxy guppies. These galaxies has a snakeskin pattern, also you can call it Cobra pattern, so therefore I label them right now Galaxy Cobra. There's a little individual differences still. The margin is within 5 to 10%. But the line itself is getting fairly stabilized, but I will await the outcome, the final outcome from which exact males I want to reproduce as much replicant as possible. So to explain a little bit what a galaxy means, if you look at the spot on the front of the body, the dark spot, it's called a bandit mark, and that's the trademark for the Galaxy strains of guppies. And I borrow some pictures, and you can see that's a galaxy, and you will see a different kind of galaxy with the same pattern. And here comes an adult of my strain of galaxy with the same pattern. This is my specimen. And the second one you will see is the vertical markers on the body. And that you can see on mine as well, and that is the trademark also for a galaxy. Aside from the obvious trademarks of a galaxy, they also show a snakeskin alike pattern, aka Cobra pattern, so that's why they also will have the name of Cobra. As a person who has bred fishes, cichlids and a lot of tropical fishes, and been very close attached to for decades with people who breed dogs, you often hear the phenomenon when they call purebred, use purebred lines or use pure strains. And I find that a little bit hilarious when it comes to guppies. The fact is that there's new strains stabilized every month. Just look in Asia how they pop up. And the thing is, there is only one type of guppy, just that there is just one type of dog that has given a lot of different, genetic variation. And the guppy is funny in this way, that you have a lot of different variation that you can elaborate with. And I always say that it's not about having a pure bred or this kind of pure animal or pure fish. It's about how you breed them, and in this case you would call it correctly, in my view, line breeding. And for me to make a strain, a good strain, is that you have a good foundation. For me to make such a strain is number one, resilience in the animals that I choose. Number two would be structure. That means good, for example, good straight, strong back, strong fins. And first, at number three of my criteria would be to look at colors and those superficial features that I really want. And luckily in the guppy today and for a long time, there is a lot to select from. So you have a lot of possibilities. So you don't have to sacrifice anything when it comes to the looks of them. But it's very easy to miss out on the most for the long-term longevity and the strength and resilience of the guppy, the first two criteria. And this is where I think the industry itself has gotten a little bit out of line, where, like I repeat many times, but they create the most beautiful colors and fins and features, and you drop your jaw every time you see those guppies. The sad thing is when people pay a lot of money for them and get them home in their aquariums, and 2 months later, maximum, the fishes are dead. And they try again, and the same thing will happen. And for me, it's a joy killer, and it's also a killer for the fish, because the rumor of the guppies are not a million fish that is resilient, like the obvious first beginner fish that you can't miss out on, that you can't you have a 100% success. Today it's almost absolute opposite, especially when you buy a commercial bred type. So to create a good line of guppies that I would say is stable with the features you like, is to line breed good specimens, and that includes the female, not just the male. And then you will look for the traits that you like, and you repeat the breeding. You inbreed, you breed father to daughter, and you have 2 lines apart, and you inbreed them both separately, about 4 or 5 generations. When you start to see some traits, I mean, you see the good traits, but when also the bad traits start to surface, then you open both of these lines and mix them, so that you have an opening from a very similar, you have exactly the same goal with both sides. So you breed them in, and then you open up after 5 generations or so, when you start to see traits that you don't like. And then you have the same type, very similar type, and then you start line breeding again, inbreeding again. And hopefully quite soon you will have a very tight line, but a line, and this is not just about genetic variation, you will have a strong line, because hopefully those, if you choose the right animals in the beginning, most likely these kind of things that you say that is bad throwbacks or bad genetics will not be, because you choose a good foundation. And it's all about choosing a good foundation. You see, there's if we talk about higher animals like dogs, that they have inbred champion dogs, so-called champion dogs, that they used 80% in a breed, and it can be a terrible result. For example, English bulldog cannot produce their own offspring. You have to cesarean them, or you get a deformed jaw like they did with a bull terrier. And the same thing with the guppies, when you sacrifice everything for one thing. But if you have 3 things in your head at the same time, the end result will reward you so much better. You will have guppies like this, very alert, that will live for a long time, that will not get easily diseased. They don't have a immune system that is wrecked, and so forth. So I would really encourage everybody who wants to breed guppies to choose the brood very carefully, and yeah, that will gain you massive joy. And also, if you ever get too many guppies and give them somebody else, you will also give a lot of joy to other people. And when I say I have a strain, I don't say I have a purebred, but I say I have a strain. That means that I have less than 10% variation within males and females in their type, so that they are very alike. I can assume and know approximately what they will produce, and they will produce very much close to what the parents looked alike. And that is, when this goes on constantly for 2 or 3 generations, you're set. And that is, for me, what I call, you have your own strain. And this is exactly how strains are labeled. And if you look at these galaxies, you can be a little bit critical and see, Martin, hey, they vary a little bit in type, and yes, they do. I say about 10%, and also depending on light conditions, they can appear a little bit different. But the point is, they are closing in. And now, from these males, I can choose to what direction they're gonna go. I can choose from these 3-4 types that I have. I can really choose out the male that I prefer, and it's a very easy job for me ahead. So now the last refining of these guys is a little bit of a head scratch for me. If anybody of you guys see anyone you think is nicer than the other one, it's nice if you give a comment and tell me what you think, so it may help me make a decision. But it's quite I should say it's quite a nice point where I can choose. So guys, if you want to help me decide and you have a preference, please comment, and I will certainly consider what mail to take this forward.